In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to overcome writer's block. And if you are new to my channel, on Tuesdays, I'm releasing tips to help new speakers, authors, and coaches get their message out into the world, including the techie things which can sometimes trip us up. And on Thursdays, I'm doing more around how to be brave and courageous in terms of speaking up, stepping up, and starting over in business and in life. So depending on which day you want, you might want to tune in for both. But let's dive into talking about how to overcome writer's block. Now, it's definitely challenged me. I know it's definitely challenged other writers who I am aware of, and I wanted to give you 5 tips and strategies. Some of them are free, some of them you can pay for, to help you get over those hurdles and really think about getting your message out into the world so that you can create the impact and potentially the income that you want to have. Now, whether you want to write creatively and write a work of fiction, or whether you actually want to write a memoir and use your own personal experiences to help other people in the world, is completely up to you. But these strategies can be used anyway. The first one is called a free write. Now, free writing is a writing strategy that was created back in 1973 by a guy called Peter Elbow. And what it is it's very unstructured. So it's not to work on anything in particular. It is basically, even if you're worried about being a chicken pecker writer, it's really about focusing on getting you into the flow of writing and really using those creative muscles in a practical way. So what happens is you would set a timer, sit down at your computer if you're using a computer. If you want to go old school with a typewriter, good luck with that, but all of mine is in the cloud. You would sit down at your computer, set a timer. I would use 5 minutes. You may want to go a little bit longer, and then basically type whatever is in your head. Now, for that, I would not type, I would not worry about spelling. You don't worry about punctuation. You don't go and edit anything. It is just completely what is happening in your mind. It's really about getting your mind to flow and get into the practice of putting words to paper or words to a Word document or Google document, whatever you're choosing to use. So that can be a great way to really switch those writing muscles on and making it a bit of a practice. Now, if you're not quite sure about the structure of your book and maybe that's blocking you from getting started, that leads me into tip number 2, which is to look at the structure of some of your favorite books that have made an impact in your life, or some stories that you've really loved and you've really enjoyed, whether it's a certain genre or whether you've got a lesson out of it, and really have a think about what you can learn from your favorite writers. For me personally, I do love a memoir, I do love a little bit of humor, and I also love a parable in the form of a book called The Go-Giver. So I really wanted to make sure that if I was sharing my story, what would people actually learn from it? So they were some important considerations. Now, Kristy, who is one of my students from my mastermind, she actually wrote a best-selling book called The 30-Day Self-Care Solution for Nurses. And having that structure process really helped her to pull together her skills and her experience and make an impact in the world. I'll drop a link to her book below just to support her in case you want to check it out. The next one that you may want to think about, if you're kind of going, but I cannot type. Like, I'm sure I'm allergic to keyboards. My fingers just repel as soon as they come close to them. If that's something that's blocking you from writing and sharing your story, the next option may be for you. And that's to use speech to text. Now, I have tested out a couple of different platforms, so I want to talk about them briefly. But if you would like a video on that, make sure that you click like and subscribe and just say, yes, please, Belle, and I will give you a comparison between different tools that you can use to do this. For speech to text, I have tested out just using the speech to text function in Google Docs, which is free. And sometimes it might be because of my Australian accent, I don't know, but sometimes innocent words come out looking quite trashy. So it's important, if you want to test that out and just speak directly to Google Docs on your computer or on your phone, that you pause every so often, 1, to make sure that it's still hearing what you're saying, and 2, that you can actually understand what you've said when you read it back to yourself as well. That's one way that you can start to do that. The other one is to use a service like rev.com. Now, if you are time pressed and you don't like typing, this may be great to get you over writer's block. You might want to use the same principles as a free write to get you flowing when you're talking. But then if you're choosing a particular topic that you want to incorporate into your story, you can use rev.com, who will transcribe your audio, and their rates are around $1.50 US per minute. Now, to put that into context for you, if you want to write a book, we tend to speak around 100 words per minute. So if you think about you could speak 1,000 words in 10 minutes, then that starts to give you scale. A book of this size, or a standard novel, is roughly 80,000 words. So that can help you to even plan for it and kind of go, I could divert some of my coffee money towards using rev.com and start to get that first draft of my book out. It's a great way to do it, especially if you're busy. And I know I certainly can speak faster than I can write. However, I prefer to actually sit down and type. So consider that one as well to help you get over your writer's block. The fourth tip I want to give to you is to set a daily writing goal. Like any new thing that you're taking on or any new practice, consistency really is key to getting there. It's like consistency and being persistent will actually get you there. Now, for me, I worked with an editor to help me go through what's called a structural edit and a copy edit, and I had a deadline to meet. So that really helped in terms of setting that daily writing goal. If you're not at that point yet, you may want to set a daily writing goal just while you're getting started, and think of it like the gym as well. Or if you've ever been into running, think about it that way. That today my goal is to complete 200 words, and that may be enough. Tomorrow I'm going to work up to 500 words so that you can build that bank. You will find, especially if you're writing something quite personal and you're going back to sit in certain points in time, that you can start to fatigue if you're wanting to sit down and do a block of writing for, say, 2 hours. So keep that in mind around how you're putting the structure so that you can overcome your writer's block. Use some of these tools to actually get it out and get it happening. Now, the fifth one that you could potentially look at taking on is either hiring a ghostwriter or hiring a book coach to help you get that story out. A ghostwriter will actually interview you and write the story for you. It is very expensive, so make sure that you do your research and choose someone. And when you're doing that, you want to make sure that your story and your tone of voice is actually coming across. So that's at the upper end of the budget, and I can certainly appreciate it from writing my own book, because it does take time to get everything committed to paper and then go through the editing process. So I'd love to know from you, of those tips I've shared today, number one, doing a free write. Number two, looking at the structure of some of your favorite books. Number three, using speech to text services. Number four, setting that daily goal to overcome writer's block. And number five, hiring a ghostwriter, of all things. Which do you feel would be helpful to you in terms of overcoming writer's block? So make sure you drop a comment below to let me know which is your favorite tip from today. And if you have any questions, make sure you post them below so that I can answer them on next week's Q's on Tuesday. I'll catch you later and have a great week. Bye-bye.